Hello and welcome to today's Ask the Experts live chat brought to you by McCain Foodservice. Today we're going to discuss how takeout and delivery can boost restaurant sales during the holidays. I'm Peter Romeo, editor-at-large of Restaurant Business Magazine and its website, restaurantbusinessonline.com, and I'm going to be guiding our discussion today. With me is Melissa Wilson, principal at Technomic, the research sister of Restaurant Business. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you, Peter.
Melissa's going to be sharing some data and some insights. Now you can find links to our detailed bios in the comments section. Today we're going to focus on a subset of takeout and delivery, off-premise catering, sometimes called big order delivery or big order takeout. Now, operators and consumers are realizing that catering no longer refers to elaborate off-site events with hundreds of servers under a tent for a wedding or bar mitzvah. Today, it's a form of off-premise that a number of operators, independents and chains alike, are more than willing to give a try because a lot of the logistical challenges of straight-on delivery are ameliorated, especially during the holidays. Before we get started, let's just review some quick housekeeping details. To ask your questions of us, please enter your query into the comments section in the live stream. These will be collected and passed along to us by our off-camera colleague, Kaylee Bogdan. We'll also have some instructions at the end of the chat about how to access what was covered here. Let's get started. So Melissa, the restaurant industry is certainly abuzz about the surge in off-premise business. And how can it not be, given the growth? One of your colleagues from Technomics shared at a conference we had earlier this week that the sales for just third-party deliverers is over $5 billion for the first half of 2018. And that is a 55% increase and a nominal amount that about equals the sales of Subway. So that's third-party delivery, what's getting all the attention. Give us some context. What's going on in catering? How big of an opportunity is that, and how has that been trending?
Well, no question, the third-party delivery has been growing exponentially, but off-premise catering has as well. In fact, it has been and continuing to be an area of strong growth. In terms of context, we've been seeing annual growth of about 6% a year, and this goes back year over year over year, significantly higher growth rate than the overall restaurant industry sales.
So that's how it's been growing. Is that fueled in part by so many people getting into it? I mean, not a day seems to go by without word of some other operator taking the plunge and adding catering.
Well, no question that a lot of operators are looking at this opportunity, particularly as they see their peers in the industry achieving success, but also based on demand from their customers. One of the great things about this off-premise catering is that people do tend to gravitate towards the concepts they already know and like, and they're looking to bring the food from their favorite restaurants either home for a social occasion, as we're talking about today, or to their business environment for business lunches.
And so this is true not only of chains, but is it true of independents as well?
No question, great opportunity for independents to boost revenue as much as 10%, 15% of sales if they really put a dedicated effort against it.
So this is not something that's calibrated to size. You don't need a quantum mass to do this or a lot of units to do this. This is something that is accessible for a lot of operators.
No question. It's accessible for a lot of operators. Certainly there's some things that smaller independents or regional chains need to factor in terms of infrastructure and how they're going to tackle things, but they also have a lot more flexibility sometimes than chains do as well.
Sure. Well, what are some of the operational challenges that are peculiar to catering?
Well, a few that are in terms of the overall time frame. In fact, those can be some benefits. A lot of operators really benefit from the ability to produce these orders at time frames that are not busy with in-restaurant guests. So that allows them to leverage their real estate in their kitchens at times that would normally be downtimes. But tackling the market, going out and addressing the marketing perspective, meeting prospective guests, sometimes a little bit daunting for independents who may not have that experience level, but very simple steps they can take as well.
One of the things that strikes us is you seldom hear about operations having to add labor to capitalize on this. Is that what you see as well?
Well, again, it depends on the operation. Certainly with an independent operation or a smaller chain, typically they're able to leverage their in-restaurant staff. So again, it's almost like generating an entirely different day part off their existing real estate and team based on when they're able to prepare these orders.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting to note that one of the more zealous opponents of delivery is Texas Roadhouse. They have adamantly sworn that they will never go into delivery. What are they looking to do now? Catering. So that speaks to the certainly the operational considerations, but also the payback, the size of the orders, and all that type of thing.
No, I was going to say exactly that. It's different. You know, the third-party delivery for a small order or two, you're having to have that infrastructure to deliver just a small check average. But these are larger orders and definitely worth the investment in having a delivery arm opportunity.
So where's this business coming from?
Oh, it's fascinating to watch. I mean, consumers really are leveraging restaurants for all of their occasions. You know, back in the day, you know, you used to prepare things for your own holiday occasions or your own parties at home. Consumers have no compunction about that now. They're looking to source foods from their favorite restaurants to serve at, whether it's a book club occasion, a holiday party, a kids party, they'll source from their favorite restaurants.
So this is less about people shifting on-premise meals to an off-premise locations and more incremental business?
Absolutely incremental business. And it's really what we see is it's shifting share away from supermarkets and warehouse clubs where you might have purchased the ingredients yourself and prepared dishes yourself. Now there's more of a pride in where you sourced that dish from rather than how you prepared it.
If there's a seasonality to this business, it seems to be that there's an upswing come fall and winter. Is that what you see as well?
Absolutely. Our data consistently shows that although there are some consumers with very active social lives that are sourcing off-premise party platters, et cetera, year-round, significant upswing, particularly November, December, it starts to spike up around October. You have your tailgating occasions and so forth, but very much a lot of holiday-centric occasions. But we do see a couple other scenarios as well. For example, Halloween. 24% of consumers order party platters for Halloween events.
Well, that's interesting.
And another peak is in midsummer. July is actually one of the strongest holidays for off-premise catering orders.
And is that for
4th of July events.
So the picnics, the reunions, the family reunions, all that type of thing?
Absolutely.
Well, that's very interesting. And what is driving it? Is it convenience? Is it the value? I mean, you mentioned that the notion is, well, rather than us doing it, we'll reach out to a restaurant. But what is sort of facilitating this boom we're seeing now?
Well, a combination of things, and I think all of the things that you mentioned. Certainly, the convenience factor. We're all so pressed for time right now, but also wanting to offer something different and unique. And even when you talk about value, you think about, particularly for special occasions, like a holiday or a birthday party, by the time you purchase all the ingredients yourself and invest the time to make it, it actually may be more cost effective to purchase a platter from your favorite restaurant.
So you do get that value play as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this kind of begs the question, if I'm an operator and I'm looking to capitalize on sales for the next 3 months, 4 months, what should I think about doing?
Oh, so many things. I mean, first of all, if you have had these type of orders in the past, we sure hope that you have a database of the people that have ordered them from you, but understand that you might not have. So start right now. Start recording the information from the people that are placing these orders, whether it's in restaurant for pickup or asking for delivery. If you do have a database, go mine the orders from last year. Great starting point. Reach out to them in advance of the events that they ordered for last year and see if they're ready to order another occasion. In restaurant, put up some promotional materials to let people know that you're offering party platters for the holidays and suggest specific events. We do hear consumers tell us, suggest an event. For example, the next buzzy TV show premiere that might be very trendy, people do have parties around those. And they say that they will bring your food and invite their friends over if you suggest it, if you plant that idea for a party. Some other things to do is make a plan. Think about what's in your trading area, what businesses are in your trading area. Another thing, Peter, that a lot of people don't think about is around the holiday period, we all know Black Friday, sales kick off. Retail stores, staff are there from morning till night, and more retailers are bringing food in to keep their teams fed and to keep them from having to leave and to keep them sustained and energetic. So real opportunity to reach out to the retailers to be a source for those occasions.
Mm-hmm. And for the type of marketing that we're referring to here, we're not talking about expensive advertising, freestanding inserts. A lot of times it's just going out and visiting the businesses or the operations that could be potential customers.
Absolutely. First of all, for consumer social occasions, planting the seed with your own customers. Customers are purchasing these orders from the restaurants that are their favorites. So let them know that you have this available. Have some photography. Doesn't have to be expensive, fancy photography, but to have some photography of how you present the dishes and put some posters up in the restaurant so that you plant that seed with them. To your point about the local businesses, yes, during those off hours in the mid-afternoon, it's a great opportunity for any operator, any GM to get out and go prospect and visit the local businesses. And you know something? They welcome you because especially if you're bringing samples,
Exactly.
you're going to be welcomed with open arms.
Exactly. We're here in our headquarters, and we often get the word that someone has brought in samples, someone who hopes to cater one of our events. And interestingly, these are just as often to be independents as they are chains.
Absolutely. In fact, independents, I think, sometimes have an edge on that because entrepreneurial business people know that they can go out there and meet people, bring food, you'll be welcomed, and it gives them the opportunity to see what the presentation is going to look like.
Let's drill down a little bit further on how that market is evolving. Is there a particular day part or day parts that seem to be more active than others in terms of as opportunities for catering?
Well, it depends if you're talking about the business catering market or the social catering market. On the business side, lunch is traditional, but we've definitely seen strong growth in both breakfast and snack occasions, morning and afternoon snacks. So that's a lot of opportunity for operators in a segment, maybe a snack operator or a smoothie operator or a yogurt operator that might not have thought about catering. There's opportunities for you to leverage those occasions. On the social catering side, tends to be more afternoon, evening events, tends to be more weekends, but we're also finding with younger consumers, sometimes it's every night during the week.
Sure, and deal. It's home meal replacement in many respects.
Absolutely.
For a group. And what about the types of products? Are there some products that lend themselves more readily to catering than others that travel particularly well, for instance?
It's a great question because when you think about it, whether the consumers, whether the purchaser's picking it up or it's being delivered, there is going to be some time period before it's actually consumed by the people that they're hosting. And they may not even, if you think about a social event, they may not even be serving it right away. They may be picking something up and then going home and preparing the house. So definitely things that are more bulk items. That Olive Garden's a great example. They say they've done a tremendous job with their lasagnas that hold really well. So any type of those types of shareable items travel very well. And we also see a lot of success with the build your own buffets, whether it's a Mexican build your own buffet or even Red Robin's getting a lot of buzz right now with their build your own burger buffets.
Right, which is basically a way for them to provide the variety that they provide in the units, but in an at-home version where you select the patty, you select the toppings or whatever.
Exactly.
Interestingly, I just recently did a story about churches move into delivery, and they were talking about catering being next because bone-in chicken travels so well.
Yeah, it does.
And the other one that's often forgotten, sandwiches and salads are really lend themselves in that regard, as well as the sides to go with them.
No question, and not just for lunch occasions or business lunch occasions, but we hear a lot from consumers talking about, especially if it's the parent that's harnessing the sporting team after an event, that sandwich and salad combinations are great to feed the team after an event.
Well, one of the occasions that we hear a lot about these days, both because of the time of the year, but because of the success stories out there, is the opportunity afforded by Thanksgiving. Certainly, Cracker Barrel did really well with its take-home meals, heat and eat. Popeyes for eons has done a landmark business with its Cajun turkeys, deep fried turkeys, and even recently, last week, we heard from Cowboy Chicken selling both a turkey, 10 to 14 pounds, or a whole turkey meal, $99 for the whole meal, $49 for the turkey. So it's a nice ticket. What do you see going on there? Is that a growth opportunity? Any thoughts about how that's evolving?
Again, no question. It's interesting, fascinating. If you go back 10, 15, 20 years, the pride was in preparing everything yourself or having everybody bring a dish. But now, again, very, very pressed for time consumers, very receptive to sourcing, whether it's the entire meal from a restaurant or parts. We even see concepts like Ruth's Chris has done a great job the last few years leveraging large portions of their famous sides. That somebody can focus on the main dish for the holiday occasion, but leverage a brand's side dishes or desserts. And then interesting, you mentioned Thanksgiving. Another opportunity that a lot of operators don't necessarily think about is the day before or the day after,
Sure.
because mom and hopefully dad is in the kitchen getting ready for the holiday itself, and they need to feed the family. So they also see heavy usage of off-premise large orders for the day to serve the family the day before.
Indeed, that notion or that approach of providing the sides and letting the family do the turkey, we're seeing a lot more of that. Nukes, for instance, a fast casual chain.
Right.
They'll provide the protein in part for that night before, whether it's chicken or shrimp, as well as whatever sides you want or baked goods that you want.
And their famous cakes too.
So, you mentioned the night before Thanksgiving, and certainly the night before Christmas has always been hailed as, not Christmas Eve, but even the nights before that have always been hailed as a real opportunity for the pizza chains. In fact, the pizza chains say that that Christmas Eve is one of their big occasions. Is this business coming in part from the pizza chains of the world, the ones who have traditionally been the kings of delivery?
No question, it likely could be, because as consumers have opportunities to source from other places, pizza's universally popular, feeds a crowd, undoubtedly will remain popular. But just as we've seen with the third-party delivery scenario, consumers, when they have options to order from other places, they're spreading out where they're ordering from to have a little bit more variety.
And how about the overall opportunity of the year-end holidays, Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa? Is that growing, and what do you see happening there? How do you see that market evolving?
Well, and some of the holidays are a little bit trickier than others just because of religious requirements in terms of food preparation. But certainly, again, regardless of what the occasion is, we continue to see consumers gravitating more towards, are there opportunities to source, whether it's a part of a meal or the entire meal from their favorite restaurants.
It seems as if the notion of bringing in a meal is losing its stigma too. It's not a matter of laziness, it's a matter of I'd want to spend time with a family.
Exactly, and we have mined that when our qualitative research with consumers, there, as you said, there used to be a stigma if you were the person at book club that didn't bake your own, but now that stigma does not exist anymore. We've asked consumers, do you add on or add your own touch to certain dishes? Some do, but a lot of them serve just as it comes from the restaurant. Nobody does like I used to do and hides the boxes in the garage garbage. No stigma.
That's actually a reassurance to my guests to see that. So to meet this demand, we're seeing some different models arise. There's the notion of let's do it within the restaurant, just as sort of within those down periods, as you mentioned. But then there are others that are really scaling up where they're trying to push that out of the restaurant, whether it's a sales function for chains or the actual preparation, going to commissaries. And even independents are renting commissary space to meet that. How do you see that evolving, that dichotomy? Do you see one getting the advantage of the other? How do you see that whole piece?
Oh, huge question, and there's no one single answer. It really depends on the concept and where they are and what their focus is on catering. Certainly, sourcing or the preparation, moving that off-premise can alleviate a lot of the impact on the initial location, but an independent isn't necessarily going to be able to do that. So depends what market they're going after. If you're looking at seasonal holiday catering, certainly can likely be leveraged on premise. Larger organizations, particularly the chains that are really focusing on the B2B market, the everyday, daily, large orders going into offices and businesses, many of them are looking at what model can we leverage to ensure professional execution and not impact the dine-in guest experience. So
Mhm.
no one right way to do it, but it's something that any operator looking at embarking into catering needs to think through what's the best approach for their brand.
Mm-hmm. Catering seems to be a facet of off-premise that the operator really wants to control, far more so than, say, with delivery, turning it over to the third parties. But at the same time, outsourcing that logistical piece means the ease of entry is that much greater. What do you see happening there? Might we see more catering orders being delivered by third parties, or is this something that that the actual transportation of the food is always going to remain within operators' control?
Well, it's going to be really interesting to see how that evolves, and certainly several of the third-party companies are working on building a catering arm.
Mm-hmm.
Thus far, again, it depends what market you're looking at. When we've talked to consumers, to business catering decision makers that are ordering in for office and business occasions, there's a lot of resistance there because they really need that professional presentation, not only of the food but also of the person who's bringing it into the office. But consumers definitely have told us that they're more receptive and open to that. If they're sourcing meals for home occasions to feed their family from a local restaurant using a third-party provider, amping that order up for a party occasion, or if they've forgotten something, certainly likely to be more receptive to it.
Well, you brought up the consumer's reaction to this. Have you seen any data that gauges how the public has embraced this boom? Is this something that's popular?
Well, if in terms of catering, our data historically over the last few years, very minimal use of third-party delivery services, particularly on the business front. But we did see in our latest study that recently came out definite increases in consumer usage of third-party providers for party platters, et cetera, for social occasions. So it is there's some growth there.
How does the consumer perceive catering as a reflection of the operation? Do they expect an experience at home that's comparable in terms of food quality to what they would get in the restaurant? Do you get any sense that they make an allowance because food is being transported?
Not on catering. For everyday meal occasions maybe, but not on catering, because one of the things you do need to consider with catering is that this is a reflection of the individual. Even though they're outsourcing the food preparation, their party can be, it's a make or break in terms of if something's wrong, or if the order's not there, or if it doesn't look correct, if the food slid into each other, if it's not properly presented. So it's a reflection on the host.
Mm-hmm.
So they're definitely not making allowances. And also think about it, this is likely to be one of your regular guests who really likes your brand, and therefore has chosen to place a larger order with you. So they're spending a lot more money than they would on a typical occasion. So again, something for operators to think about. No question, an area that independents and smaller chains can tackle, but you really need to be on top of the execution, because think about the ramifications for your customer as a host.
Absolutely, they are unforgiving in certain respects. One of the things we haven't talked about yet, operators often bring up, is that there's a residual marketing value to catering as well, because quite often the people at that social event or that office party have never tried these restaurants, and all of a sudden they're sampling their food.
Yeah, no question, and it's really an untapped opportunity. We have seen data where many people were first exposed to a brand, especially a brand entering a newer market, by seeing their and tasting their food at an occasion, whether it was a business catered occasion or a social catering occasion. We also did see a year or so ago, one of the things that Mo Southwest Grill did that was pretty interesting is they offered something for the party hosts to give to their guests to entice them into the restaurant themselves.
The equivalent of a coupon or free drink, that type of thing?
Exactly.
One of the downsides of delivery per se is the low attachment rates for beverages. Does that hold true with catering, or do you get more flex that way? Now, leaving out, of course, alcoholic beverages.
Right. Well, again, it depends on the market. In the business catering market, you do get a pretty high incidence of beverages because those are typically lunch occasions. They want a whole meal. For consumer social occasions, beverage incidence is lower. And often they're sourcing from a couple places. A lot of times what they're doing is they'll go around and pick up platters and orders from several different brands. Maybe a platter of wings from their favorite brand and a dessert from another brand while they're going and then shopping and picking up their bulk beverages as well. Consumers have told us they'd be very interested in adult beverage offerings that could accompany these orders as well.
Oh, for sure. That's the new opportunity, especially
Absolutely.
for casual dining. And I would imagine the coffee opportunity for breakfast catering is huge, high margin thing. And we're seeing some interesting ways of delivering on that. The new beverage bags, where it's a disposable bag that you have your beverage in.
There's a lot of innovation going on in terms of packaging to help orders, both beverage and food, be transported better and maintain their integrity.
So I guess the key question to all of this is this growth, is this boom going to continue?
For catering, absolutely, we expect it to continue. Again, there's been a paradigm shift. First of all, businesses, the economy is strong, so businesses have so many occasions that they're ordering catering in. When we talk specifically about consumers and leading into the fall and holiday catering, again, as you mentioned earlier, the stigma of not preparing food yourself no longer exists. Consumers are sourcing from their favorite restaurants, so we expect that to continue to grow. And again, as we mentioned earlier, it's been outpacing overall restaurant industry growth by several percentage points consistently year over year, and certainly we expect to see that continue.
Great. Well, Melissa, thank you very much for your insights and your information. This concludes today's live presentation. We'd like to thank all of our audience members for sticking with us and participating in today's live chat. Thanks again for your expertise. For more insights on takeout and delivery, like Restaurant Business and Technomic on Facebook. We'll also post a link in to today's event where you can go to subscribe to our newsletters to keep up with the news and trends on the restaurant industry. Also, look out for the next installment of Ask the Experts in November, when we'll be exploring tailgating and the game day sales opportunities tied to sports. On behalf of our sponsor, McCain Foodservice, thanks again and have a great day.